Great to have you with us. In our first story, some consumers are against the latest utility tariff adjustments taking effect today. The new increases announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission yesterday will see electricity tariffs go up by 5.94% and water by 2.22%. This comes exactly 3 months after the PURC in its mega tariff review increased electricity by 11.17% in July this year. For some consumers, shouldering an additional 5.94% increment is premature and shocking. Here are some concerns from the streets of Accra.
Utility versus salary is terrible. The government has to come to the aid of workers because you give 10% increment of salary, which is supposed to take effect of next year. Then all of a sudden, fuel, utility, and staff are chasing the mega salary. So I think it's one of the causes of corruption that we see because individuals will have to do one or two things to make amends to add up to the mega salaries that they take.
I think most of the telecommunications are here to make profits. You know, they don't really think about what the Ghanaians are really, how much they are paying. Well, looking at this PDS and this ECG thing that is going on, I think it's going to be really, it's going to be a big deal on the families. You have to take care of your families, pay school fees, and also pay utilities. It's going to really take a huge chunk of the income of people who really work and all that. Yeah, it's really going to put stress on majority of the Ghanaians.
Oh, to me, it's not in the right direction for us because Ghana living is now becoming difficult. And even when they say they are using for development of the country, I think that is not the way. Because even in Accra, when you come to Kotoku, where I live, children are studying under a palm branches. When it rains, then the children have clothes. So I think the tariffs, I don't see the development they are doing.
Well, in Ghana here, when we check about the services being rendered to us, you see we are just paying money for people to eat, for people to chop, just like that. We are not getting the services being needed. You see, there's a lot for the utility people to do, whether it's the PDS or the water company. There's a lot of work for them to do.
The tariff increase, I think, is too bad because looking at our nation, we have not reached the extent where tariffs needs to be increased all the time like that because we are not getting all that good service from the service.
But a critical question being asked is, what has really changed within this short period to warrant such an increment? Former Deputy Minister of Energy and Petroleum John Jinapor is, for instance, demanding an apology from government on the new increment.
The PURC has been extremely dishonest with the people of Ghana. The PURC should move away from the politics and concentrate on their core mandate. You would recall that in 2018, when they decided to reduce these tariffs by about 17%, we asked details and raised issues. And it's important that in this country, all of us begin to interrogate this matter. It's not the PURC that pays the electricity bill. It's not the PURC that pays the water bill. And so the people of Ghana, including your very good self, you deserve to know how these tariffs are arrived at. It ought to be transparent. At the time when they were reducing this tariff, the exchange rate was getting worse, crude oil prices were increasing, all the indicators were getting bad, and yet PURC insisted and reduced the tariffs. As a result of that, today we have a huge debt of more than $1 billion. Let the PURC come and deny that because of that tariff reduction, there is no huge debt outstanding. That is number one. Then in July, they came out with about a 12% increment in electricity tariffs. They claimed that that was to restore the sector and ensure that there is financial viability.
Reacting to some of these concerns, a commissioner of the PURC board, Ishmael Ejekumhene, warned against politicization of the tariff adjustments. He insists the latest increases are justified.
There are a number of assumptions that go into the determination of tariffs. So once you have assumptions, including currency, exchange rate, inflation, generation mix, and things like that. If you are not able to take stock and keep track, you end up having a situation where the utilities will be under recovering. Let me give you a typical example. In July, the assumption behind the exchange rate was 5.05. As you speak right now, the exchange rate is close to 5.4, in some cases 5.5. The revenue shortfall that the utilities have experienced over the quarter is close to about 80 million today. If we don't do anything about it, this is going to continue to pile up, and then you are not talking about marginal increases, but you'll be looking at major increases even before the end of the major review. So everything that PRC is doing is very transparent, and I am surprised that Honorable Jinapor is bringing PRC into his politics. He should leave. I think he should leave PRC out of this. There's nothing opaque about what PRC is doing. For the first time in the history of PRC, the decisions of PRC are being published on PRC's website. As we speak with you right now, PRC is in Kofodia explaining to the stakeholders what goes into the determination of their tariff. So he should leave PRC out of his politics. And he, having been an energy minister before, should know that what we are doing has got nothing to do with politics. So he should leave the PRC out of this thing, and he shouldn't insult the intelligence of the people who are working at PRC.
Now, Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Marte, has also been defending the 2.22% increment in water tariffs.
We all have accepted the use of the formula. I think it's only appropriate that it's followed or it has head in total. Now, there's been times when the tariff has gone down as a result of the various parameters of the formula going down. So if now the various parameters have said that it will have to go up, I think we have to accept it. As an utility, we even expect higher because at the last major tariff adjustment, we expected more than we had. And then we keep saying we do not have cost-reflective tariffs. And so if it has come at this time, first quarter after a major increase, there has to be a 2% increase. I think we'll have to appreciate it. For us as a utility, it's almost insignificant, and especially the customer, it's almost insignificant. But then the utilities will have to work. And like I keep saying, energy tariffs, the energy component of our expenditure alone is about 50%. We haven't talked about chemicals. We haven't talked about overheads. We haven't talked about operational expenditure and all that. So the utility, the Ghana Water Company Limited itself, is always operating at a loss. It's just because we do not have a cost-reflective tariff. So we have accepted it because the entire nation accepted automatic adjustment formula, and we'll have to work with it. Other than that, we would expect that the tariff would have been higher than it is now. The tariff cannot go up because you have accepted automatic adjustment formula. So it can't go up any soon, but every quarter it will be reviewed. And that is the dedication that the PLC has given all of us. Every quarter it will be reviewed. If it has to be reviewed downward, we all have to accept it. If it has to be reviewed upward, we also all have to accept it because we do not have control over the parameters that we're talking about. For instance, we use foreign exchange in the procurement of our chemicals. Now, if the CD is depreciated against the dollar or against foreign currency, what else can we do? You understand what I mean? Now, if energy cost is going high, 50%, close to 50% of our expenditure goes into energy. What can we do? As I speak, the GWCL is indebted to PDS. We have to pay. We are unable to pay because of lack of funds. Okay? Assuming PDS decides that they are going to disconnect GWCL now, how are we going to pay? How are we going to supply water to our consumers?
Away from that story, and comprehensive sexuality education is a brand known and accepted globally to champion a specific objective. You cannot adopt the same brand and give a different meaning and objective. That's according to lawyer and concerned parent Kofi Bentel, speaking to me this morning on the Super Morning Show. The GES and the Ministry of Education have come under heavy criticism in the last couple of days over its planned introduction of the controversial comprehensive sexuality education in public basic schools. Government has, however, allayed fears it has no such intentions. But speaking to me this morning as a concerned parent, Mr. Benton insists the program government is defending is a, quote, Trojan horse, unquote, and must be resisted.
This CSE thing is not new. It's been around the world for a number of years. CSE is a Trojan horse. We have a little time, so I'll use these analogies. It's a Trojan horse. It looks like one thing, but everywhere it's been experienced, it's something else ultimately. A Trojan horse comes into your compound and looks like a toy or something like that, but there's something inside, and it comes out later. Even in permissive USA, even in Canada, permissive countries where you can't insult somebody for their sexual choices, okay, they've had huge problems. Now, I don't have a problem with sex education, I don't have a problem with biology, you know, but let me be clear on this one. And again, a little time and a little check will show people a lot. I came to it that way, okay. There is a difference between biology, teaching people about body parts. That is different from sex education, which I don't have a problem with. Teaching people about the sexually sensitive parts of your body and what to do, what not to do, and some of those things you can teach kids. It's not all of that you must teach kids. Then there is sexuality education. That's different. That has to do mostly with choices. Okay? Then there is comprehensive sexuality education, which is more persuasive if you read the literature. I spent my weekend going through this. I have a friend who has been debating me all the time on this for a number of days. He just sent me a message and said, look, I went to read and I am now convinced about your position. The more you go into the detail, you understand that comprehensive sexuality education is not just teaching children how to avoid rape. All right? It is more about persuading people first to be accepting of alternative sexual lifestyles, and two, and this is where the problem is, to remove the dissonance they feel, okay, in their own choices and exploration of those alternative lifestyles. That is where the problem is.
When you say alternative lifestyles?
Look, in California, they are putting out 13 different choices. You can be a man, you can be a woman, you can have sex with a woman and a man, and you can do it together.
For gender, 13 different gender choices.
Gender and sexual choices. And the point is this, you see, the fact that people are doing it does not mean you should teach my child to accept it. And I've broken down 4 things. Biology, sex education, no trouble. Even sexuality education, teaching people about this, I have no problem with the choices people make. In fact, check all the history. Every time we've had problems with sexual choices, I have defended the people who make those other choices. Okay, I've had my arguments with...
Which is why I'm personally surprised at your position.
Exactly, because I come to these things myself and carefully. So I'm saying, make your choices. But when you move from sexuality education where you're telling people, well, people make these choices, this comprehensive sexuality education is a brand.
Meanwhile, a proponent of the program, Dr. Letitia Adelaide-Appiah, Executive Director for the National Population Council, says the comprehensive sexuality education is critical to every child's development. She spoke on the AM show.
We've been having comprehensive sexuality education from home, school, and then into adulthood. But then this guidelines is just supposed to streamline it. And it looks at the developmental stages of the child as it grows from baby. Indeed, comprehensive sexuality education, the first part starts from home. Parents are supposed to be the foundations of comprehensive sexuality education if they are being very responsible. So they teach the children how to be, when you are born, you are a boy, you are a girl. And that is where sexuality education even starts from. The way we dress, the way we are treated starts from home. And then to the school. And so, if you look at the first part of the comprehensive sexuality education manual, it starts with the value clarification. The values that we are taught in Sunday schools, the values that we are taught in our Islamic schools, That is where the foundation is. And then it builds on as it goes. So what we decided was to take all these documents and put them together in a structured form. So we don't miss any part and we follow the children in the developmental stages as they go. And so that is how the comprehensive sexuality education is structured. And that is how it came about, that we have it all together, especially for out of school. Because we had out of school education also on sexuality that was not very structured. That was haphazard. And this document, we're talking about the in-school, but we also have out of school, very structured up to the age 24.
Now, Education Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has been briefing the press on the development. Let's go to the phone lines and speak with my colleague Komla Adom for more. Komla, what has the minister been saying?
Well, Daniel, the minister essentially at this press conference, which ended a short time ago, been clarifying issues relating to this whole subject of the comprehensive sexuality education program. Now, he says there's been no plan, there's been no approval by the Ministry of Education for the students at the basic level between KG1 and Class 6 to be taught or to study anything related to comprehensive sexuality education. Now, he says even the curriculum for the year has already been rolled out, and then the National Council for Curriculum Assessment, NACA, the National Council for Curriculum Assessment, NACA, which worked on the curriculum, has not approved any such documents, especially those that are making rounds on social media. Now, there was a question put to him about a program he was at in February this year, on February 1, where he launched a program together with UNESCO, which was also under the Comprehensive Sexuality Education Project. Now, he clarified, he says, well, at that event, he was only launching an initiative, a project under the Comprehensive Education, Sexual Education, which teaches students about reproductive health, personal hygiene, etc., which the UNESCO mentioned our health, our rights, our future. And so that be misconstrued to mean that he, the Minister of Education, launched any comprehensive sexuality education program. In fact, he says the content of the program he launched together with UNESCO at that event in February was this aspect of a program which is already being studied in schools anyway, with respect to the human reproductive health, the hygiene and the health of individuals. So those are the aspects that were part of a UNESCO project they worked on, and that cannot be misconstrued to mean a comprehensive sexuality education.
Komla, if I may, please reposition yourself just a moment. It's difficult to hear you. You were saying then that the minister said the program he launched, or the project he launched sometime in February this year, is already taught in schools. So why did he have to launch something that is already being taught?
Well, he mentioned that the UNESCO program was just going to sort of broaden the scope and then sort of enforce what is already being taught in the schools, and to get the young people to be sort of become very much aware of their reproductive systems and personal hygiene, etc., under the code name Our Health, Our Life, Our Future. And so that was the project that was introduced, that was launched that day. And in fact, he said it was one which was already being, taught in schools anyway. And we know from that press event that it's being implemented in Tanzania, in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, and many other African countries. And so he says that event was at texting UNESCO cannot be misconstrued to mean the Ministry of Education here in Ghana has approved any such comprehensive sexuality education program, which is being spoken about on social media as being a ploy to introduce LGBT rights into the curriculum of a school.
Komla, did he say anything about what the content for the guidelines which have been released will be? The green document which says guidelines for comprehensive sexuality education in schools.
Wait, so another question was posed to him. He denied knowledge of this said document, this guidelines. He said he denied that this document actually emanated from the Ministry of Education, which he had, and so he cannot speak to it. He said as far as he, the minister in charge of a sector, is concerned, there's no such comprehensive sexuality education program being implemented. There's no such guidelines because there's no program being implemented, and so it should be treated with the contempt it deserves, because as far as he is concerned, the National Council for Curriculum Assessment, which actually looks at the curriculum and approves it for the students to study, has not done any assessment of any such comprehensive sexuality education program. That isn't part of the curriculum which is being rolled out already this year.
Thank you very much, Komla Adom, for those updates. Of course, Komla will come back to the station soon, and you will be hearing the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, shortly. Now, before we move on, I must say that we spoke to Dr. Prince Sama, who is the Executive Secretary for the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. He mentioned that documents, the guidelines for CSE implementation, which Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh swears or disavows now. He says that his organization was involved in drawing that guideline, and we've spoken to our friends from the UNFPA who tell us that the Ministry of Education is currently in the process of developing the content to populate that guideline. But the minister says he has not sanctioned any such developments of a document, and none of his agencies are working on it. We'll get the details of that to be specific, or which specific document he's referring to. But you're live on Joy News today. My name is Daniel Daz. It's still to come. A police station started in 2015 by the Upper West Police Administration abandoned. We'll tell you how the service intends to complete that project and make it operational. Stay with us.
More of conduit.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, up to 150 medical laboratory students say they're still unemployed nearly 10 years since they graduated from various public and private health training institutions. They say all efforts to get governments to enroll them into the country's hospitals and other health facilities have yielded no result, forcing them to go public with their fight. We have their representatives with us in studio. There's James Essel and Nathaniel Che Tano and J. Ahinkwa. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Let me begin with you, Nathaniel. 10 years since you left school. Tell us your story.
Yeah. Since 2010, most of our colleagues have been in the house since 2010 up to now. And it has been to and fro at the Ministry of Health up to now. Even this year, last year, we were there when the Ministry of Health brought out the forms that we should fill for employment. So we did that, and we filled the forms and submitted it to Ministry of Health. That was early last year. So getting to the end of the year, we were there when we went back to ask of how far, and they said we should. They can't find a list, so we should compile a new list and bring it to them. So we did that, and we submitted it to them, which was early part of this year.
Okay.
Early this year, we had a meeting with them in which we were supposed to meet Honorable Minister of Health, which is Madam Tina Mensah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she couldn't make it. So we met a rep of her, which is Madam Anastasia, and also the Deputy HR of Ministry of Health, which is Mr. Lawrence. We discussed a whole lot of issues with them. This is not the first time. Since 2010, we have been submitting lists to them throughout, and nothing has been done about it. It has been to and fro, as I was saying earlier on. Okay. And now, it seems like our other colleagues from the other professions are getting the financial clearance and they are working.
But you are not.
From our side, we are always in the house.
So what's your demand, AJ?
Now, we're pleading on the government to at least fasten or quickening things for us.
Okay.
At least to pave way for we are also in the house, that we don't have the opportunities, so we can attain opportunities and then
for them to get you the financial clearance for you to be hired.
Yes, please.
But Nathaniel, how are you managing? It's been 10 years since you were done with school.
Well, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Tell me about it.
It has been from one private facility to another one. Sometimes the payment itself, if I have to mention it to you, you'll be so surprised.
Tell me.
Some even pay as low as 150 Ghana cedis a month.
A month?
Yes.
Private facilities?
Even someone with masters are even paying, they are even paying them around 500, 600 Ghana cedis.
What would you gain if you were hired by government?
From the certificate side, it's ranged between 800 to 1,200. And from the diploma side, it's from 1,400 to 1,700. And from the first degree, it's between 1,800 to 2,200.
So this is about a 200% increment?
Yes. Yes, please. Yes. And moreover, since last year, as we are talking about, our total number is not even huge enough. We are just 1,500. And out of that 1,000...
Over the 10-year period?
Yes, over the 10 years period. Normally, when you submit a list to Ministry of Health, they do verification from Allied Health Professional Council.
Yeah.
So over there, they have to verify if you have a PIN or not, a valid PIN or not. Mostly because of we are unemployed. So getting money to renew our PIN becomes a whole lot of issue for us. Let me say from our side, you have to pay around 400 to 600 cedis every year to renew your PIN, in which someone in which the pay is around 200 Ghana cedis, 150 Ghana cedis. Every year you have to renew your PIN. Even my brother and I are in the house, unemployed, for almost 2 years now, unemployed.
Nathaniel, thank you very much. We'll be following up with the ministry to get that response. Nathaniel and AJ are currently unemployed medical lab practitioners. Now, the Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, has expressed concern over the delay in completion of the new Upper West Regional Police Headquarters that was started in 2015. The project was initiated by the police administration and has now been taken over by weeds. The minister has tasked the service to fashion out a workable plan to complete the project. Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh made the statement at the annual West African Security Services Association, WASA, held at WA. JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafik Salam reports from WA.
A first-time visitor to the Upper West Police Command Headquarters wouldn't know the difference between the regional and municipal command headquarters. They are crammed at one place and look more of conjoined twins than two separate commands. Inside the regional command headquarters exists long hall used by dozens of personnel from the Criminal Investigations Department for their official duties. We spotted a handful of victims of alleged armed robbery attacks here being interrogated by the police detectives in a crowded hall that has very little space for walking. A couple of years ago, we reported on the unconducive working environment here. All personnel in this office at the time brought from their homes their personal stand-up fans to aid in their work due to poor ventilation in the office. We christened it one CID, one stand-up fan. Our visit to the same office today, we have noticed some significant changes. 4 out of 5 ceiling fans fixed are working. At least the 4 ceiling fans have spared the personnel from the usage of their personal fans. In other offices, personnel still crawl on benches to move to their seats. Others also grapple with poor ventilation. Yet, a new regional police command headquarters that was started in 2015 by the police administration has been abandoned and overtaken by weeds. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, addressing personnel of the service at the annual West Africa Security Services Association, WASA, was not happy with the situation.
One issue that is of concern to me is the delay in the construction of the regional police headquarters building on the Wasombo Road, which has been suspended for some time now. The RCC would like to urge the police to come out with a workable roadmap that will resolve the bottlenecks affecting the completion of the project. I want to assure the police of the Regional Coordinating Council continued support in the discharge of your duties, and will also continue to encourage municipal and district assemblies to support the activities of the Ghana Police Service.
WASA is marked by security services aimed at socializing, interacting, and to make merry after a lengthy mandated and hectic year work as law enforcement officers. It is also an occasion where they take stock of activities of the previous year and plan for the succeeding year.
Still live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, civil society urges governments to desist from capping Mineral Development Fund. There's more. Stay with us.